Valley Talk on News Talk 1580 KGAL.
And welcome to Valley Talk. I'm Dave Adams. Glad you are with us today. Initially, we were planning a mayoral debate for the office of Lebanon mayor. Ken Toome is the incumbent in going for his sixth two-year term as mayor of Lebanon. He had an issue come up where he was not able to attend, so we're going to be having him on the program or offering him a chance to be on Valley Talk at a later date. But we do have Paul Aziz, who is the challenger for the race. He's in our Valley Talk studios live today. Paul, thank you for being with us.
Good morning. Thanks, Dave.
We also have Hasso Herring in the studio, and we're going to be talking a little bit with Hasso about his new website, hh-today.com. Don't forget the dash there. hh-today.com.
Got that right, Dave.
Thank you. And we'll talk a little bit about what his plans are, what he's doing, with a little bit more time to work on his website and work on what he's doing today. And one of the things he's doing today is being on Valley Talk, and as we're visiting with Paul about the issues for Lebanon mayor. Don't forget to sign up for the KGAL Valley Talk Quiznos Taste on Us gift certificate giveaway. Just send me an email, dave@kgal.com, or call the station 541-451-KGAL, 541-926-8683. Simply put Quiznos Taste on Us on the subject line, or call the station and say you would like to get put into the drawing for the Quiznos Taste on Us. Now, the winner will get a $10 certificate that is good for anything at Quiznos in Albany, next to the former G.I. Joe's location, next to Weight Watchers and Novak's Restaurant. And a big thank you to Dale and the crew there for being a part of the Valley Talk family here on KGAL. And thank you as well for tuning in and listening. We do shoot video of this. If you miss it, you can go to our website, kgal.com, and watch and listen to Valley Talk. Paul, thank you for being with us today on the program.
Thank you.
What do you see as the issues in this race for Lebanon mayor?
I think the biggest issues for me is the transparency and the communications from the city council, the administration, the staff. Myself and many other people that I've spoken to around town are frustrated with the lack of transparency, the lack of communications, and we just feel like we're not really being represented in the local government.
Can you give me some examples?
One example would be the whole Justice Center issue, where the Justice Center, people were moved into the Justice Center that were non-police personnel, and they didn't have approvals for security clearances. That happened. It wasn't explained very well to the community. It wasn't explained very well to anybody. And the city manager himself gave a couple different answers, and there's still no flat reason. No one's really understanding exactly what the reason was, why it happened. So that happened, and then people complained. People were upset about it because they felt that we voted in a Justice Center, not City Hall North. And what they ended up doing was moving people north. And the city's response to that was that they saved $26,000 because of moving these people. Well, all that $26,000 it wasn't a savings. It's because they closed the Community Development Center on Main Street. And when they closed that Community Development Center, yes, they saved $26,000. The problem is that they moved those people over to the City Hall North, which is the Justice Center, and they could have moved them into City Hall and other facilities, and they didn't. And so people were very upset about that. Then the mayor signed a contract illegally with an investigator to investigate this issue because there was so much public outrage about it. And then that was then reneged, the contract, because it was illegal and it wasn't supposed to happen. The mayor doesn't have authority to sign a contract on his own. So that happened. Then they had a meeting that was called in 24 hours, just the minimal amount of time, on a Friday afternoon at 12:30, where really no one can attend and no one can see. And the mayor apologized, and I accept his apology, and I know the community does. But it was still done, and as being in mayor for 10 years, that's something that you should be pretty aware of. You can't sign a contract without city council approval when you're approving funds, in the $20,000 range. You just can't approve things like that on your own. That happened. It just over and over the communications of the city. There's something very recently that just happened. They were going to have, because there was so much discussion about Lowe's and the URD and the $5 million that suddenly has come up that we owe Lowe's. And
there's still a question about whether the city actually owes that money or what.
There is. Well, the city does owe that money. It's a matter of where that's going to come from and how it's going to be paid and to what extent. But the key to that part is that the city was going to have a meeting to help explain everything to the community, and that was supposed to be tonight, and that was canceled. No one knows. Even the Lebanon Express couldn't get an answer why it was canceled and when it's going to be postponed to. Some of these things have been possibly political. I don't know, but it's weird timing. But you don't have communications from the city to the community, and that's what the community is frustrated about. That's why I'm running for office. That's why I got it. I'm a businessman, and honestly, I didn't want to get into politics, but it's something that I just felt strongly that I needed to do, because people were telling me the same things I was thinking and the same things I was feeling, is that we're not really being represented on the city council and as mayor. The way that people really feel in town, and we're not getting our opinions and our views heard. You know, there was one person at one of the city council meetings that said they emailed every single councilor and the mayor and only received one response back from one councilor about an issue. That was it. Not even from the mayor. Didn't get a response. That's what I cannot stand, because if you're going to represent the community, you have to represent the community, and you have to have an open communications.
Well, we don't have anybody here from the city council or from the mayor, and that's kind of unfortunate. But, just to take a possible different view of the thing, do you think it's possible that some of these problems come about because the city administration and the council is trying to do things in Lebanon in the most efficient way possible, trying to get things moving, trying to, get some action rather than just keep talking about stuff?
Yeah, so I kind of agree with that to a certain extent, but part of it is that you need to communicate what you're doing. And part of being a public servant is good communications. And secondly, is not appearing to be doing things in secret and not appearing to be doing things in a different way. We all know that appearance is a big deal in politics and in city government. And so when it appears that they're doing things, just like this meeting, there may be a very, very good reason why they canceled this meeting. But no one knows. Even the newspaper doesn't know. The Lebanon Express told me that they've filed more Freedom of Information Acts against the city than they have against the school board. The school board, apparently, the school board now, not years ago, several years ago when there were a lot of problems on the school board, but the school board has gotten, and the school district has gotten so well-tuned that they just communicate with the newspaper. They explain what's going on. They tell them. They don't have anything to hide. And not that the city is hiding anything. It's that appearance that they're hiding something by having to put in Freedom of Information Acts just to request simple information, unlike the Lowe's agreement.
Some years ago, this reminds me of a little episode that happened when I was still at the Democrat Herald. The Lebanon Council had set some kind of a meeting, and we got an email saying that the meeting was called off because of an emergency of some kind. I wondered, well, what kind of an emergency was this? And so I asked our Lebanon reporter, we had one at the time, to call somebody and find out. Also, I think she called the mayor and maybe a couple of other people, and one of the council members eventually told her, well, it's because one of the presenters had a medical thing and she couldn't come. This, I don't know if you remember this, but this led to the city administrator reading the Riot Act to the council member who had spoken to us. And it led to a prolonged legal dispute about what exactly was the nature of that communication by phone between the administrator and the council member. That was Mr. Weldon. And, meetings about that and lawsuits and all kinds of expenses. And it always seemed to me as though I was kind of partly at fault for all that, because having asked what this meeting was all, or why it was canceled. And it would have been quite easy, the easiest thing in the world to say, look, we had this meeting because one of our presenters was ill. We just couldn't, and that was it. That would have taken care of the whole thing. Would have saved tens of thousands of dollars of expenses over several years. And as far as I know, that dispute is, I can't remember if it's totally resolved now or not, but it was an example of that sort of thing that I thought was totally unnecessary. If we could have just been a little more forthright to begin with.
And that's a good example. That's what I'm talking about. And even, at the beginning of the race, when we put in our candidate statements and the information to the newspaper about, what we stand for and who we are, just the real basics in the very beginning. And the city said to use the mayor's information off of the website. Well, the city hadn't updated the website because the mayor's been the mayor for however long, and they used information that was several years old, and it wasn't even correct because it was saying he had 3 terms in or something like that. So the information on our city website isn't even correct on our public officials.
Speaking about your website, I was wondering, the website is very explicit in explaining, it lists the city charter and all kinds of things. And it's a very good site, really. And it says that the city administration is run by a city administrator. And I've always wondered over the years why it is that the city administrator is often referred to as the city manager. And I wondered about that. I can't remember if I ever got a real answer to that, because there is a substantive difference in city administration between a city administrator system, where the council usually has more authority, and a city manager system, a manager form of government, where the manager has, authority to do all kinds of things. For example, hiring staff members, hiring department heads, and doing all those kinds of things. And it always struck me as being strange that the job of the head of the city administration was described one way in the city charter and referred to in a completely different way by the people in charge.
That's an interesting point, yes.
I
agree with you on that.
Okay, that's an interesting point. One of the things that Hasso's first question, and is kind of a two-phase question that, Paul, I want to pose to you. Number one, Hasso was saying maybe the reason why things are done quickly at City Hall is for sake of efficiency. This reminds me so much of a story that I covered in Idaho. Little community on the border of Idaho and Oregon called Fruitland, Idaho. The city was exploding in growth. I was covering this when I was working for station KSRV in Ontario, Oregon. And we got sucked into the middle of the controversy at City Hall, too. So what happened was the city was exploding in growth. They brought in Coca-Cola bottling. It was front page news all over the state that this small, tiny town in Idaho was bursting at the seams in growth. And what they were doing was this mayor was actually a real estate person. There was some, I wouldn't call them behind the scenes deals, but there was some, to save time, there was a lot of dealing going on that really moved things along efficiently. So what happened for the city was they brought all these jobs, and it was a tremendously efficient way to grow the city. But there were some toes that were stepped on in that, and people started complaining, and they were hearing the same kind of complaints there that I'm hearing from you now, was that the city wasn't up front in promoting meetings, publishing meetings. So very similar stories.
That's interesting.
But the question I've got for you is this, kind of reiterating Hasso's question. What would you say to folks who might believe, well, the city of Lebanon has been growing. They brought in Lowe's. They've got the health campus that they're brought in, as compared to other cities comparable size, brought in a lot of jobs, and they've been growing. So what would you say to the folks who argue that if it ain't broke, don't fix it? And they like the fact that all these new jobs are coming in, and they say, well, I kind of like the job Mayor Ken is doing. What would you say to those folks?
It's a very good question. And the first thing I want to say is, because I know that there are some people on the other side that will say this, that I hate Lowe's and that I hate all these things. And it's absolutely not true. I like the growth that we have in town. I like the businesses that we've brought to town. I especially like the medical center, the college, the veterans home. Those things are perfect for our community. They're great assets to our community. And even Lowe's, I think, is a good business too. The problem that I've had over the past is not just those places, but some of the things maybe that we've done to get those places, like with Lowe's. They gave them a big break on water. Well, that's a big contention and pity people in town is the water rates. And so to give them a break, it just feels kind of odd to people in town, even though we have that company.
Well, Paul, excuse me, can you explain that? What exactly is the break?
They have about a 60%. It's a graduated tiered plan that they have over the years. That they got, I think it was a 60%, and then it goes down each year. They get less and less, but they actually get that off of their water rates. That was one of the deals in the contract. When you look at the contract and you open it up, and if you highlight all the things that say that the city shall provide, those are the things, the money that we were going to provide, it's in the $20 million range of things. So it's not just this $5 million. There was a lot that the city gave to bring that business in. And I'm not saying that's wrong. It's just that sometimes those numbers aren't as upfront as we think they are. Because when you hear the mayor talk about it, he talks about, the $5 million or whatever that it took to get them here. But there was a lot more that we did. And yes, there's infrastructure that we put in that will be available for other businesses too. But, things like the water rates, those are all things that do affect the community. And it gets people upset. And I've had a lot of people here, I've heard from a lot of people.
Well, you're saying that Lowe's is paying a smaller price for
yes,
water?
Yes, they are. They absolutely
per
are.
unit than, say, somebody
Yes.
in a trailer in Lebanon?
Yes, they are. And that's in the contract.
Well, no, normally there is a volume discount, for is that what we're talking about here?
No. This is specifically written in for this agreement for them to locate here, to bring that business here. This is written into that contract.
But the trade-off is that they bring in a lot of jobs.
They do. The one thing we have to remember, too, is that they are on the edge of town. And I've talked to an employee just recently, and he guesstimated that there's about 20% of the jobs are in Lebanon. And so we do have a lot of people that are coming from out of town and driving into town and just coming to work and leaving and really not necessarily doing anything in Lebanon. Again, I'm not saying that Lowe's is a bad business at all. I like Lowe's. I think that it's a good opportunity that we have here. The thing that I'm not happy with is the process that has been gone on to get some of these businesses here. One of the biggest things that I don't like, and I know it might sound small, but it's kind of like the tip of the iceberg, I think, of the whole problem, is that they changed the name of our town, the logo of our town, which used to be the town that Friendliness built. Mm-hmm. And they took that and they changed that to It's Easier From Here. They hired a marketing company, and this was said by the mayor in one of our public forums.
Okay, who's they?
The city council.
Okay.
City council hired the city management hired a marketing firm to market our town. They took away the town that Friendly's built, and then they put It's Easier From Here. They completely removed the other one. And you know what's funny? I did a poll on my Facebook page, and over 50% of the people thought it was about 75% of the people thought that it was still the town that Friendliness built. They didn't even realize it had ever been changed. And when I go back and looked at the Lebanon Express, the articles were very vague about it, and it was like just kind of pushed out there. And their excuse was, well, we haven't really used that for years for marketing anyways. But and then the mayor also said that there were 40 people that were asked about that town name and that they liked it, the new, It's Easier From Here. Well, you've got to be balanced in your approach to these things. We need to bring businesses to town, and I don't want to stop that at all. So I want to make that very clear. I want to continue on this path of growth, good businesses that are good for our community, but I want to be balanced, and that's what we don't have right now. There's not a balance between the people that are, or there's not a balance between the idea of bringing a business in and then taking care of our community, because our livability in our community is the most important thing. Bringing businesses is important, but if we don't have a safe community, we don't have a livable community, people that want to move here and live here and stay here and raise families, if people want to get out of high school and just leave here, then it's not a good community, it's not livable. So the livability is the part that I think is being ignored right now, and that's the part that we need to work on.
Well, Paul, isn't it? I don't live in Lebanon, but it always seems to me as I drive through it.
We need to take a break right now. Okay. We're running a little bit late on time. So this is KGAL Valley Talk. We'll continue with Hasso asking a question to Paul here in just a moment, and we'll be right back on Valley Talk.
Samurai Greenhouse Supply is having Customer Appreciation Day on Saturday the 27th from 10 to 6. The industry's best vendors will be on site talking about their products and how they can help you achieve maximum yields from your indoor garden, including Sunlight Supply, Humboldt Wholesale, BioAg, Smart Pot, Oregon LED Garden Lights, Green Planet, and Aptus Plant Tech. Black Rock Barbecue, and guess the weight of the giant pumpkin at Samurai Greenhouse Supply on Highway 99E in Tangent. Check online at samuraigreenhousesupply.com for more details. Grow your own, it just tastes better.
Going out to lunch at a nice restaurant can be expensive, and the big portions put you more in the mood for a nap than a productive afternoon. Mama's Fine Italian to the rescue. The small appetite senior menu is just right. Anyone and everyone is invited to order from the Light Appetites menu for lunch from 11 to 4 p.m. with tasty entrees beginning at only $3.95. Why go hungry or go anywhere else for lunch? Eat healthy, eat light at Mama's. Closed Sunday and Monday, so make the most of Tuesday through Friday and join your friends at Mama's for lunch. Dinner only on Saturday. Mama's features charbroiled steaks every day. Make reservations for dinner or pick up a bottle of fine wine. Seating is limited, so please call for reservations. 541-451-5050. That's 451-5050. Mama's Fine Italian and Wine Shop on West Oak between Main and 2nd in Lebanon, across from the big blue Napa Auto Parts building.
Did you know Lynn County Commissioners make more than $80,000 a year plus benefits? In 12 years, that means the incumbent has received well over $1 million of our taxes. That should be a full-time job, but he's also opened 6 businesses, partnered in 8 others, and even worked as a lobbyist. I'm Mark Spence, and as the new commissioner, I'll end my private business, work more than full-time for our communities, and always put public service before personal interest. Plus, I'll take a 10% pay cut. For more, please go to markspence2012.com. This ad paid for by Friends of Mark Spence.
Are your teeth loose from gum disease? Are you headed for dentures? Did you know inflammation of infected gums could contribute to diabetes and heart disease? Now there's great news from Dr. Dennis Clark. Dr. Clark's skillful use of laser periodontal therapy will dramatically help hundreds of Mid-Valley patients. Bleeding gums heal, loose teeth tighten, the bone even grows back. Results that amaze Candy Lugo of Lebanon.
I had a problem with my 2 front teeth. I had a really bad cavity in the front. It was really bad. I was really embarrassed to smile and came in and he said, we can fix you up. You can change your whole world around. You did it for me. You do it for anybody.
Simply put, gently applied laser light removes bacteria and diseased tissue, which means less inflammation and a fast, comfortable return to firmer teeth than a normal routine. For a free consultation about the no-cut, no-sew, no-fear solution for gum disease, call the laser dentist. Dr. Dennis Clark in Lebanon at 451-1440. That's 451-1440.
The Car Show, Saturday afternoons on News Talk 1580, KGAL.
Welcome back to Valley Talk. Don't forget to sign up for Quiznos Taste on Us. Send me an email, dave@kgal.com. Put Taste on Us on the subject line or call KGAL 541-451-KGAL or 926-8683. Put Quiznos Taste on Us in the subject or tell them at the station that you want to be put in the drawing. You get a $10 certificate. We'll draw a name, and that winner will get a $10 certificate for anything good at Quiznos in Albany. Sandwiches, chips, drinks, whatever. Take your friend and treat them on us. Taste on Us. Quiznos in Albany here on KGAL's Valley Talk. When we went to break, Hasso, sorry for interrupting there. We were asking a question, and we were running late on a break. But I'll give you
Paul, you were talking about livability in Lebanon, and I got the feeling you were thinking that livability is lacking in the town. And it seemed to me, as somebody who doesn't live there but who occasionally visits, and that Lebanon is a great place to live. I mean, at least it's a great place to visit. I had a chance not too long ago to attend a function put on, I think, by the Lebanon Chamber of Commerce. Had to do with business that is women in business, and the group was entertained by former Governor Roberts, who was speaking about her book, and it seemed to me, I mean, just the atmosphere was as though it was really cohesive, and people pulling together for the town and for each other and so on. I came away with a really good feeling about Lebanon. So I don't understand your comment about livability or the atmosphere in town.
Sure, I understand what you're saying, and you're actually correct. It is a good town to live in, and not everything is bad. And I don't want to sound like the doomsday guy, but it's the things of not knowing what your city representatives, the elected officials, are really doing. There's a feeling of distrust there, and so that makes it feel like a place. The water rates, it's very, very difficult to pay your water bill. So then they've gone and they've changed the policy so that your water bill is due sooner, and your water within 30 days will get shut off if you don't pay it. So they've changed these things, these policies, and then they got the high water rates. They did 15%, 15%, 15% over 4 years, and it's a 60%, but it's actually more than that because it's compounded each year. So it's near like 70 or 80% of a water rate increase, and that was a problem because the city council kicked the can down the road for years and years, and they didn't make a decision. I'm not saying necessarily this city council, but just over the years. And, you know, the mayor and some of the other city councilors have been in there for years, so they're responsible for part of this. And that has happened. So these are the things I'm talking about, livability. It's kind of more of an overall. Downtown, we need a little bit better of a downtown, and I know we've got Partners for Progress and the Chamber are working on it, and those things need to be taken care of too, and build up downtown, because I really want to see us use the businesses that we have, the small businesses, and grow those businesses and increase our small downtown.
Now, let me ask this. What exactly could the city of Albany or could the city government, the city administration do to advance that particular goal having to do with downtown small businesses?
We've had some discussion at some of the forums on this, and really it's encouraging the businesses, getting the community together. I think the Partners for Progress is really the way to go, and the city needs to back those organizations. They have been, and I think they need to continue that, and the Chamber of Commerce has been really good. But we need to continue. It may be getting together some more committees of people who are downtown business owners. One of the problems that's been brought up is that some of the owners are from out of state, so there's not as much of an interest of making their business maybe as attractive on Main Street as it could be. So there are a lot of different issues. But I would say getting together and getting the business owners together and finding out what we can do to make a better downtown and fill some of those empty spaces.
Well, you know, empty spaces downtown are a problem all over the country, of course, in small towns all over the United States. And Albany had a similar issue for many years and still does. Not necessarily that spaces are vacant, but it's just not the retail center that it used to be. And as towns like these, Albany, Lebanon, others like it, I think are trying to sort of groping, trying to find out what it is they can be.
Yeah.
What it is they, in terms of changed retail environments, you know, it's changed habits. People just don't go downtown shopping anymore.
Right.
They have other possibilities online and discount stores all over, you know, in the outskirts of town and so on.
Yeah.
All that's an old story. And I just wondered if there were any, you know, if you knew of any novel ideas in Lebanon for accomplishing something like that.
Specifically, not on the businesses as far as downtown. I don't have anything specific. But one of the things that I've suggested, and I continue to mention in my campaign, I want to do like the school district did. I want to get the community together. I want to get input from the community, and I want to have a vision for Lebanon. There is not really a vision for Lebanon. There's a master plan, which you have to have mandated by the state, which says you have to have your streets a certain way and that. But we don't really have a vision and a plan of what we want our community to look like. And I think if we get the community together and find out what does the town want our downtown to look like? What does the community want our parks and streets to look like, and what's a priority, and prioritize things. The school district did a fantastic job. They were in shambles years ago, several years back, and they've actually gotten their act together, and they've got a really good superintendent in there, and he has a vision, and that's what I plan to do, is to get a vision. I want to hear what the people have. I have ideas, but I don't have every answer, and I want to hear what answers the community has.
What ideas are those that you have?
As far as I don't have one specifically for the downtown. No, I do not. And that's where I was saying that if we get input from the community, maybe we can find out what the people want in downtown.
Well, that sounds, it sounds reasonable. It's just people don't have any good ideas about downtowns. That's why, I mean, people's habits have simply changed. All these towns grew up in the 1920s and 30s and 40s and 50s, you know, and when life was just different in America, and now it has changed. And so the question is whether there is still a role for downtown. Of course, there are programs such as the Main Street program that tries to encourage people to redevelop downtown and the downtown areas or central core areas in all kinds of ways. And the question is always how does that work? And really look at Corvallis, for example. It has a very thriving downtown, and I think what helps there is to have something like 20,000 young people within walking distance on the campus, and they in most towns just don't have that.
Right. Now, one of the things though that I think about is I look at like Sisters going over, taking a trip somewhere. There's a lot of towns that I enjoy stopping at and going to the stores or the different buildings, because it's an interesting destination, and that's one of the things we need to make Lebanon as a better destination. In the break, we were talking about the museum the Scroggins Mill. Things like that are things that could make Lebanon a destination, and it could infuse downtown where we could get more businesses downtown and people that want to actually come and walk up and down the streets. And, downtown, there's a lot of people that live real near downtown that could walk there. So if we had places, we've got a new place, fairly new, Herschel's Ice Cream, parlor. Great little business. We've got Jan's Books. We've got a bike shop downtown. So we've got some really good businesses going in downtown, and it seems to be on the rise. I actually see them really building it. The farmers market downtown has been another positive thing, and it brings people out. You see a lot of people on the streets during those days.
Well, that's encouraging, and you're right about some towns that have sisters and others. Ashland is a good example. That, of course, it's also a college town, but it's a really, really thriving core area, full of businesses and tons of people all the time. Theater and the college and all that. So Lebanon is going to have to. That's Scroggins Mill. Tell us about that. What is that all about?
It's an old mill, very, very old. I don't know the actual year of it, but it has actually a couple old train cars that are inside, enclosed inside. They've basically, I think, just started working on the outside of it, but it's a project. They've got a 501(c), I think it is, a nonprofit organization, and they want to build that into a museum. They want to have a little bit of an art to sell local community art, people that do artistic stuff. They want to have a little bit of a park there. I mean, that is a great thing. And then it's across the street from the Santiam Travel Station, which is a restored train station, which is awesome. And it's not even, the train station really doesn't get used as far as other than meetings, but that's a really neat little historical thing right there.
So if you were mayor, would the city do anything to help that along?
I would like to. I would like to see us giving more support for it. I think however it would be that we could partner with that, I think it should be, and because it's right across from the city property, and I think it would be an excellent, partnership.
What kind of support would you be looking at? Financial, regulatory, what?
Probably regulatory. Might be some financial. I don't know. I mean, we just gave $1 million for the LBCC training center, down the road, which I think is a good project. But I mean, they just threw out $1 million somewhere out of that they found.
Well, there's always urban renewal financing. You could try that.
Absolutely. And I'm sure there's a lot of grants too. I know that as a nonprofit that they've been trying to raise money. It's really tough right now in this economy to try and raise money for a nonprofit. So.
Yes, it is. Urban renewal financing, the urban renewal district here in Albany. We're kind of digressing here a little bit, but there's a little bit of a controversy in Albany about URDs, urban renewal districts. Mm-hmm. What do you think about that? You've watched the story and so on and so forth.
I haven't been following the one in Albany. I don't know. Okay. In Lebanon, we have the northern one, which is the one where Lowe's and the school and those things are, and. I think that they're good for some things. I think you just have to be careful not to take that money and start using it for other things that it's not really, necessary or should not be used for. And I kind of sometimes see that with the city where they'll get that money in and then they start using it for other things.
Well, I don't know, Paul. Urban renewal plans are quite formal, and they have to spell out what the money can be used for. So you normally have a list of projects, or at least a list of possibilities for the kinds of things where urban renewal money can be spent. So I don't think you can go along and say, well, we're going to spend it on something else that's completely out of that's not really contemplated in the plan.
I think they've done that in the past, and I think they have ways to circumvent it and maybe not exactly say that it's for a certain project, because just recently they just approved an agreement with the fire department. Now, I know that's a little bit different, but it's in the Lebanon Express today that they just have, from last city council meeting, they just approved an agreement to give the fire department some money for their paving of their thing, which I think is an appropriate use, but there are ways to move money around in urban districts.
But funding of public improvements, infrastructure, roads, parking lots, sidewalks, that kind of thing. Right. That's a traditional method for spending urban renewal money. That is why some urban renewal districts are founded, are started. So it doesn't sound to me like illegitimate. It's just
not in that case. No. Yeah, I'm not saying that one is.
And the URDs, urban renewal districts, are designed so that the new money coming into the district is what that goes to pay off the debt. So existing structure, they put a limit on the taxable authority in that district that goes to the existing cities, counties, and so on and so forth. But it's the new taxes that are going to pay off the URD debt.
Right.
But there are some that are arguing that even those new taxes should be going to the current taxing entities, be it cities or counties or school districts or so on and so forth. So we digress and get into an issue affecting Albany, but I was just kind of wondering what your take was on that. We need to take another break right now, and we'll be back with Hasso Herring and Paul Aziz, who is a candidate for Lebanon mayor. Valley Talk will continue in just a moment.
The Osgood File, sponsored in part by Angie's List. Get reviews you can trust and great discounts from service providers right in your own area. Coming up, a special offer for you. This is Charles Osgood. Millions of people who are amputees or victims of spinal injuries or advanced diseases like Parkinson's, MS, or ALS can't use computers or other devices that might help them because they can't use a keyboard, a mouse, or TV remote. But some British scientists have married video game cameras with a pair of eyeglasses and tested it with a version of the old video game Pong. No intrusive surgery, no hugely expensive technology, and look, Ma, no hands.
And now I'm controlling the mouse directly with my eyes.
Cost of producing the prototype interface glasses to read precisely where the eyes are pointed? $65. More after this. When you need to do home repairs or remodeling, sometimes you just have to turn to a professional. If you're looking for an electrician or a plumber, hiring the wrong person, or trying to do the job yourself, could be a disaster. That's why I count on Angie's List to help me find the best professionals to get the job done right the first time around. With Angie's List, you can quickly search real reviews from other members about their experiences in hiring someone to do a job. Find out about a professional's quality of work, how much time they take, and, of course, how much they cost. I'm proud to be a member of Angie's List. I told her so myself. And we talked about you, too. Sign up today, and since you listen to the Osgood File, get 20% off your Angie's List membership. Just go to angieslist.com, and when you sign up, enter my last name as the promo code, Osgood, OSGOOD. That's angieslist.com. Promo code Osgood. Or call 1-888-888-LIST and mention Osgood. Dr. Aldo Faisal, a lecturer in neurotechnology at Imperial College in London, and one of his PhD graduate students, William Abbott, developed this way we were telling you about for severely disabled people to control computers and other electronic devices they never could before. Says Abbott,
We take this natural eye movement signal because we look where we want to click or we look where we're going, and this means that it's a very natural, intuitive way for people to control disability devices or interact with the computer.
Dr. Faisal says there are two parts to the system, or kit as he calls it. One is a couple of very fast cameras to record eye movement and work out exactly where on the screen the operator, in this case William Abbott, is looking.
And the other part of the kit is smart software that basically decodes the intentions that William has about interacting with the computer and translates them into commands that enable him to control the computer just by using his eyes.
They're hoping to interest manufacturers in producing a commercial version of the glasses that could be sold directly and cheaply to the public, giving the disabled access to a new world of possibilities. The Osgood File. Charles Osgood on the CBS Radio Network.
It's bigger, it's better, and it's back. It's the 23rd Annual Salem Home and Remodel Show at the Oregon State Fairgrounds this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Don't miss it. 3 days of exciting new innovative ideas on how to improve your home. With $25 Home Depot gift cards handed out every hour all weekend long. Mini garages, utility sheds, kitchen and bathroom remodeling ideas, floor covering, lighting, and so much more. The 23rd Annual Salem Home and Remodel Show is handing out free gloves to the first 100 visitors each day of this 3-day extravaganza. At Lovers, you'll love the huge Pet Pavilion main event, sponsored by Copper Creek Mercantile. Discover unique and fun home decor. Can anyone say off-the-grid solar power? Bring the whole family and enjoy kids' workshops. Fall is here, and it's time to give your home that warm and comfy feeling for family and friends to enjoy this winter. Fabulous show specials, free gift giveaways each day, and 2-for-1 admission all weekend with a canned food donation. Tickets are good for all 3 days. Don't miss the Salem Home and Remodel Show at the Oregon State Fairgrounds this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Get ready for a home show weekend.
Take the gorgeous drive to Peoria Road Farm Market right now to take advantage of their bodacious sweet corn, nice assortment of awesome apples, homegrown peaches, winter squash, and seasonal produce. Get your salsa on with Peoria sweet onions, peppers, tomatoes, and get your fall decor right there. Experience the farm market's amazing corn maze and be sure to get a pumpkin patch hayride from now to Halloween. Go 1 mile east of Corvallis on Highway 34. Take Peoria Road 1.6 miles south to the Peoria Road Farm Market.
Into the woods and onto the waters. Listen to Northwestern Outdoors, Saturday nights on Smart Talk 1580.
KGAL Valley Talk, I'm Dave Adams. In the studios with us, Hasso Herring today. Hasso, glad to have you with us. Paul Aziz, who is a candidate for Lebanon's mayor. Again, we wanted to have Mayor Ken Toom in the studio today so we could have a very frank discussion between the candidates live on the radio on KGAL. Ken had some things come up, and so we're going to schedule him at a later date and be able, hopefully, to bring Hasso back and talk to Ken about some of the issues that we're talking about today. We'll continue with the conversation in just a moment. Do have an announcement we do want to make, though, for veterans. If you are an unemployed veteran or looking for work or soon to be able to look for work, the Home Depot Salem Distribution Center this Saturday, October 27th, is going to have a transitions event for military veterans that are looking for a job or want some advice. They'll have hiring managers there, human resource professionals, and former military leaders currently working at the Home Depot. You can go to a website for more information. You can go to www.vetshelpingvetshq.com. You can also go to the Home Depot website, but here locally, go to vetshelpingvetshq.com, and you should be able to find the information on that on their website. I believe it's the coming events section on Vets Helping Vets HQ, or again, go to homedepot.com. So, we are back talking to Paul Aziz. Paul, why should people elect you as mayor?
Well, I think that we need new, fresh leadership in town. We need transparency, honesty, communications, and I don't think we're getting that right now. I've got a lot to offer. I was a police officer for several years. I've got a business that I run in town. I've managed a company. When I was in a company, I managed 80 people and a budget of $3 million and a technical support department. And I have quite a bit of business experience, and I do care about my town a lot. I have a passion for it, if you couldn't tell. And one of the things with my business in town is places like the medical college and the veterans home, those all affect my business, and those help me with my small business because I repair computers for a living, and my paycheck depends on having good economy. So strong economy is very important to me. And again, I do not want to stop the progress that we have. I want to continue that. But I also want to bring out an openness. I want to be on Facebook. I'm on Facebook right now. People can find me on Facebook. I have a website. People can call me. They can stop by my office. And I'm accessible to people. And that's one of the things I want is accessibility. Right now, there is no accessibility. If you go to my opponent's webpage, there's a question that was asked on Friday and hasn't been answered as of today. And there's just no communications there. So I have communication skills, and with the business skills that I have, I think that I would be the person that could lead our town and continue with the growth, but also bring in a new era of communications and openness in our town.
What would you like to see happen with the Justice Center? What needs to happen? Let's say you're elected mayor. What would you like to see happen going forward?
Most of the Justice Center issues have been rectified as far as I know. That's all over time because of the public outcry. It is finally whittled back down. The chief is back in his office now. The detectives are back in their locations. So I believe that most of that issue has been taken care of. It was more of the process of that whole issue and the way that it all went down was what I was not happy with.
Also, do you have anything you want to add?
Well, do you think, would there be, if you were presiding over city council meetings as mayor, would there be a change in the way things operate at the council?
Yes, I want to see all of the meetings videotaped. Excuse me. I want to see all of the meetings videotaped, and online have information so that people can see that online. And I think that having a meeting and not treating people rudely, I think the community's been treated rudely. At one meeting, it was said that people were on a witch hunt. It always seems like the public gets blamed for things at the public meetings, and it's very frustrating. And I don't like the interaction between the city councilors. It's rude and obnoxious between each other, and the mayor is the communicator-in-chief of our town, and he sets the tone for the city council meetings and for the city council, and I believe that's what I can bring as a good tone.
You know, that sounds reasonable. Let me caution you about the videotaping and broadcasting on websites or online the council meetings. But a few years ago, the Albany City Council started to videotape itself. Not tape. I mean, this is,
Right.
just to video record its meetings and to broadcast them online, live as they take place, and then again, you can see them anytime you want. And ever since then, it seems to me that the meetings have gotten a little longer, because I could be wrong about this, and I probably am, but it seems to me as though lots of times every council member wants to be, have his chance or her chance on the camera a little bit, and so it just seems to me that some of the action at the council meetings is intended not just for the present consumption, but for the people who see things online and later. And it's just, I'm not sure that's such a good idea.
Well, I understand what you're saying, but the problem is, if you go to a city council meeting, reading the minutes is one thing, but you don't get the feel for how they're treating each other and how they're treating the public. And if the public saw that, they'd be pretty shocked at some of the meetings, because some of them were unbelievable. If there was videotape, people would be shocked to see how they were treating each other. I mean, it was just, my wife was in tears when she left the one meeting, because the one counselor was treated like he was like bullied. And it's just because they don't like that person. And it's not fair, because he had brought up something in a city council meeting, and they all said, no, no, no. And then in 5 minutes later, the same exact thing that he said was brought up by another counselor, and they approved it.
Interesting.
And it was just because they didn't like that particular counselor.
We need to take one more break here on Valley Talk, and we'll be back with the conclusion of the show. Be right back with Paul Aziz, candidate for Lebanon mayor, and, of course, Hasso Herring with us today in the Valley Talk studios. I'm Dave Adams. Be right back.
Awesome Dufour knows it's those little things that make a difference. That's why at Awesome Dufour Funeral Home, they'll take your treasured pictures and create a professional quality DVD of your loved one. Why settle for a slideshow when you can have so much more? Creating that special memorial that allows you to celebrate life. Service beyond your expectations is what you get when you call an Awesome Dufour Funeral Home. Awesome Dufour on Ellsworth in Albany.
When you look out across Willamette Valley, you'll see plenty of banking choices. But we're here to give you an option that's pretty unique, like no other in fact. Hi, I'm Dave Wood, President and CEO of Willamette Community Bank. We provide an alternative to large national and regional banks by offering customized financial services and local decision-making to benefit local people, local families, and local businesses. How many banks can say that? Willamette Community Bank, service like no other, we promise. Member FDIC.
Hi, I'm Representative Andy Olson. Oregon is at a crossroads, and it is critical for us to work together to get Oregon moving in the right direction. I'm proud of my record as your representative. In my time in Salem, I've worked hard for you to make changes that really have made a difference right here in our community. You know, I believe the foundation of a successful community is a thriving economy and jobs. If we want good schools, safe communities, and help for our most vulnerable, we need to start with getting our economy moving again and Oregonians employed. That means less taxes, less regulation, and more accountability for our tax dollars. Join me in making these concepts a reality for our community and our state. I'm Representative Andy Olson. I would appreciate your vote for my re-election so that together we can get Oregon moving in the right direction.
Paid for and authorized by friends of Andy Olson.
Huge October closeout going on now at John and Phil's Subaru in Corvallis. Save with Subaru deals at the only Subaru dealer in the Mid-Willamette Valley. From the coast of the Cascades, Corvallis to Albany. From the new compact SUVs to the pet-friendly family wagons and high-performance cars to outdoor sports like skiing and fishing and one of the safest vehicles in the automotive world, all help make Subaru the world's top-selling four-wheel drive vehicle. Buy now during the huge October closeout at John and Phil's Subaru in Corvallis on Highway 99 West at 800 Northwest 5th Street in Corvallis.
When you need the job done, you want the powerhouse of engineering, reliability, and value that is Kubota. And right now, during Kubota's 40-year strong celebration, you can get 0% APR financing on select new M-Series tractors with a comfortable cab, direct injection diesel engine, and four-wheel drive. Join the Kubota movement. Go to Kubota.com or see Len Benton Tractor in Silverton or Tangent. Kubota is 40 years strong serving the American dream, and Len Benton Tractor is still doing business the American way.
Yahoo Sports Radio, weekends on 1580 KGAL.
Yahoo!
Back to Valley Talk. We have Paul Aziz, candidate for Lebanon mayor, in the studios today. Again, we want to remind you that Ken Toome, the incumbent, will be invited to be on Valley Talk at a later time. He was unable to attend this morning because of some unforeseen situations that come up. So, wish he'd been here in the studio. We'd have some very interesting discussion, and really appreciate the discussion we've had so far today. So, Paul, water rates are a big issue over there in Lebanon. So let's say you're elected. What would you do for the water rates? Is there anything that can be done at this point?
Unfortunately, at this point, because the can was kicked down the road and the decision was put off, there had to be a decision, and the city council did make the right decision. Unfortunately, it was done over a period of 4 years. What the situation is we have a water treatment plant that is way outdated. They've known it for years, and it needs to be replaced. And we're not, and this is a misconception, and I want to, for the viewers to hear this, or the listeners, is that we're not really paying into a pot of money to replace the water treatment plant. What we're doing is we're paying a higher rate so that the city, it's just like when you're buying a house, that you need to get your income up at a certain level to be able to get the house, the loan. Well, the city needs to get a bond, and to get that bond, they have to have a better credit rating, and by better credit rating, they get that when we pay more money. So we're essentially paying more money for the water to get the infrastructure and other things built, and then our loan rate will come down, and we'll get a better interest on the loan or the bond, and then that way we can get the water treatment plant. The problem is our water treatment plant only has enough water, I believe, for 48 hours. And if that thing goes down, we have no water in town. And apparently the parts of that are not available. They don't make them anymore. So we could have an emergency situation where we had no water and they would have to release water where we'd have to boil water. It would be a really bad situation. So it has to be done. Unfortunately, we have to pay the price right now, and there's just not much else we can do. The big thing that I want to do is I want to change the policies and go back to a little bit more lenient on the payment so that it's not a 30-day. Basically, they send out the bill on about the 28th. You have to pay it by the 1st. If you don't, you get to like the 14th or something. It's late. Basically, you get a door hanger by the end of the month, and within 30 days, you will get your water shut off if it's not paid. And it's the most aggressive policy I've ever seen for a utility.
That does seem a little unusual. What brought it on, do you think?
I don't know, but it was done at the same time that the water rates were going up. I think it was last year. I don't remember the exact time. Then, everybody's upset about this, and they go into the city office to pay their bill, and then there's these signs all over inside there. And this has been a complaint by one of the people at a city council meeting, that there's signs there, if you don't agree, if you're upset and you're out of line, that we're going to, kick you out, and we have all the right to do that. And it just seems kind of offensive to people going in there, because we just paid our bill the other day, and Don went in there and saw that there are all these signs all over there warning you that, you better behave in there. And just those kinds of things are not really good messages to be sending out to the community when everybody's upset already.
Well, it does seem like Lebanon seems to have an odd way of treating its citizens.
Yeah, it does. It does.
What would you like to see the rates for water termination?
What would I like to see them as far as?
Yeah, you'd say they're too aggressive now. What would you like to see them extended to?
I think the old one was like 60 days. I think if you were 60 days late, then they would start the process of shutting off your water. As far as the door hanger, I don't know what the exact dates are right now, but it was a little more lenient. It was more like you had a couple of weeks. But people like me, I have a business that depends on, I don't know when my customers are coming in the door. So sometimes I have to push my water bill off a couple of weeks. Well, if I do that a couple of weeks, I already get the $10 fee that's extra. And then if it's 3 weeks and I'm really having a rough month, then it then becomes getting ready to actually get a door hanger, which is I think another $15. But it gets pretty expensive just being late. And I don't mind a late fee, but turning it off in 30 days is just not fair to the community.
We have about 60 seconds left to go in the show. How can people contact you?
They can contact me on my website. It's real easy. It's paul4mayor.com. I'm on Facebook at Paul for Mayor, at Paul for Lev Mayor, and they can also call us 541-570-1632. I will talk to anybody that wants to talk to me about the campaign.
Okay. We do want to mention quickly, we were going to talk about it today, but we've got very engrossed in the conversation about the race for Lebanon mayor. Hasso Herring is in the studio today. He has a website up. We want to mention hh-today.com. What kind of things can they find on that website, Hasso?
Well, mostly it has to do with commentaries. When I left the paper, a whole number of people told me that, or let us know, that they kind of would miss reading editorials that I had been writing for a number of years. And so the website is an outlet for continued writing of editorials. Mostly then it is commentary, as I say. These are, commentaries about state politics or state public affairs, and sometimes a little news.
Okay, hhtoday.com, the website. Have a good day.
The Mid-Valley home of Smart Talk. This is News Talk, 1580 KGAL, Lebanon, Albany, Corvallis.
CBS News, I'm Bill Whitney.